Hey everyone, and welcome to my June most anticipated releases. There are a lot of new books coming out this June that I want to talk about, so we're going to get right into it, starting on the 4th of June with Lockjaw by Matteo L. Cirilli, and this one is supposed to be a sort of queer horror type thing, and it says, death is neither the beginning nor the end for the children of Bridlington in this debut trans YA horror book for fans of Rory Power and Danielle Vega. I've admittedly never read either of those two, but the idea of it being a YA trans horror and then talking about death not being the beginning nor the end for the children sounds really, really interesting. And then the actual synopsis goes on to say, Chuck Warren died tragically at the old abandoned mill, but Paz Espino, I apologise right now if I've mispronounced that, knows it was no accident. There's a monster under the town and she's determined to kill it before anyone else gets hurt. She'll need the help of her crew, inseparable friends bound by a childhood pact stronger than diamonds, distance or death to hunt it down. But she's up against a greater force of evil than she ever could have imagined, and that just sounds so good to me. I'm really getting into my YA horror and horror in general. I love the idea of it being a queer horror as well, because I'm always trying to read more queer books, and this just sounds so good. I'm so excited for this one. Again, on the 4th we have Service Model. This is by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and I've never actually read anything by this author before, but I've heard amazing things about his work. And this one specifically, it says, to fix the world they must first break it further. Humanity is a dying breed, utterly reliant on artificial labour and service. When a domesticated robot gets a nasty little idea downloaded into their core programming, they murder their owner. The robot then discovers that they can also do something else that they never did before: run away. After fleeing the household, they enter a wider world they never knew existed, where the age-old hierarchy of humans at the top is disintegrating, and a robot ecosystem devoted to human well-being is finding a new purpose. And this, to me, sounds a little bit like Murderbot, and I really, really love the Murderbot Diaries. I'm only on the 3rd book at the moment, but I have been loving the series so much, and this sounds very sort of similar in terms of robots getting their own ideas and starting to fight back against basically being just like used by humanity. This kind of thing, I think this could have a really good look into where humanity's going and this kind of idea, and it just sounds really interesting, so I definitely want to check this one out when it comes out on the 4th. Also on the 4th, there's Tiffany D. Jackson's Storm, Dawn of a Goddess, and I was always going to want this one because it is a Marvel book, but this one specifically is about Storm of the X-Men, and I love the X-Men. We all know this, but I really, really love Storm as a character, and I genuinely think she's not used anywhere near as much as she should do. She is used quite a lot in the comics, and she gets quite a few storylines in the comics, but they are never actually really translated that well onto screen or anything else. She got a little bit in X-Men 97, but that was about it. And I really want Storm to get more of a spotlight because she is such a cool character with so many parts to her and everything, and they are not explored anywhere near enough. So this book sounded really interesting because it is focusing on Storm, and specifically it's following Storm when she was a teenage thief on the streets of Egypt until her growing powers catch the eye of a villain who steals people's souls. And specifically that villain is the Shadow King. And if you've been on this channel for more than 5 minutes, you know I absolutely adore the TV show Legion, and the Shadow King was the villain of Legion. So to see him come back sounds really, really interesting. I've seen him in a few comics, but not that many, admittedly. So to have him as like a main villain in a book about Storm as well just sounds so good. Really excited about this. I love a Marvel novel. I obviously love a Marvel comic as well, but I'm always here for Marvel novels as well. I'm starting to grow my little sort of collection of them. So this one sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to be picking this one up. Then on the 11th we have Running Close to the Wind. This one is by Alexandra Rowland, and this one is about queer pirates. I needed to know nothing else, and I'm so excited about this book because it is about queer pirates, and specifically it's been described as being like, our flag means death, meets Six of Crows, which just excites me to, like, you have no idea how excited that makes me, because those two, like, are some of my favourite things in the world. I am a massive fan of Our Flag Means Death, and obviously I'm a massive fan of Six of Crows, so to combine the both of them just sounds incredible. I'm also going to be part of the blog tour for this book as well, so look out for some content on here, and then also on Instagram and TikTok as well, about this book coming out from me, because I'm going to be talking about it a lot across all of those places, and just generally, this just sounds good, so good. This sounds so good, right up my alley. I cannot wait to read it. I really cannot wait to read this. Then on the 25th we have Foul Days, and this is by Genevieve Dimova. I apologise right now if I mispronounced that. And this one has been described as being like The Witcher meets Naomi Novik, and I've never actually read a Naomi Novik book, but I know I am a big fan of The Witcher, specifically the TV show. The books admittedly didn't do it for me because I found them quite sexist, but I love the TV show The Witcher. It is one of my absolute favourites. I watch it every single time the new series comes out, so like to have a book that's been described as being like The Witcher just already intrigued me. But then it's also described the fact that our main character has been fighting Kikimoras, and then also brewing lycanthrope repellent, and then also her ex is known as the Tsar of Monsters. Just sounds absolutely epic. But then she's also now got to escape the Tsar of Monsters, and the only way to do that is to trade her shadow and her source of her power for a legal passage across the wall to a place where monsters can't follow. And this just sounds really interesting, because I mean, we're already talking about lycanthropes, which is something I really love. I love the idea of also fighting Kikimoras and all of these types of Witcher type villains, or Slavic based villains I should say, because this is based on Slavic folklore. But it's giving me those Witcher vibes, also having to give up like your shadow, which is the source of your power and things, so you can be safe. This all just sounds really interesting. Definitely like piqued my interest, so I really want to check this one out. Again, on the 25th we have We Shall Be Monsters. This one is by Tara Sim, and I'm just going to read you the top bit here. You can obviously read the rest of it here, but I'm just going to read you the top bit and you'll understand why I'm so excited about this one, because it says, Frankenstein meets Indian mythology in this twisty, darkly atmospheric fantasy where the horror is not the monsters you face but the ones you create. I needed to know nothing else, because I love the idea of taking classic tales and twisting them with other types of mythology, because that always brings like new elements to the story and things like this. It makes them really unique in my mind, so that already intrigued me. I also love Frankenstein. Frankenstein is one of my favourite like classic tales to watch adapted. I admittedly have not read the book because I don't do classics and I don't do letter format in books either, but when I've seen like the Benedict Cumberbatch version of the play, I really enjoyed it. I also love Victor Frankenstein, which is the one with James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe in. Obviously I also love the like Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, where one of the female characters is a female version of Frankenstein, which is really interesting. I just generally really love the idea of Frankenstein. So then to twist it with Indian mythology as well just sounds really interesting, and for it to be a twisty, darkly atmospheric fantasy as well, just give it to me. Just give it to me. I really want all of the twisty, dark, atmospheric fantasy and all of the Frankenstein retellings, and it just sounds like it just sounds so good. It just sounds so good. I am so ridiculously excited for this. And then finally, still on the 25th, we have Saints of Storm and Sorrow, and this one is by Gabriela Baba. And this one, again, I'm just going to read you the top bit because this is what sold me. It says, in this fiercely imaginative Filipino-inspired fantasy debut, a bisexual nun hiding a goddess-given gift is unwillingly transformed into a lightning rod for her people's struggle against colonizations. That just sounds epic on every single level. Like, I don't think I've ever read something like that before, so this just sounds really interesting. It also says that this is supposed to be a lush fantasy full of morally ambiguous characters, and I love moral ambiguity in my characters so much. And then I just want to see how all of these pieces fit together. I'm not gonna lie, I just want to see how all of this works, because this just sounds really interesting and really intriguing. So I just really want to see how this one works out, because it just sounds really good. like bisexual nuns, God-given gifts, turning into lightning rods for their people's struggle against colonization, morally ambiguous characters. This is meant to be for fans of things like the Poppy War, which again I haven't read. It seems to me that I haven't read a lot of these things that these books have been compared to, but I know I'm probably going to enjoy them because I know I enjoy R.F. Kuang's other work, and I've heard nothing but good things about the Poppy War. I know it'll be something I'm interested in and will probably enjoy. I just haven't read it yet, and it's on my list. I just haven't bought it yet or anything, but getting there. But all of that just sounds so good. It just sounds so good, and I'm just really, really intrigued by it, so I really want to give this one a go. And that is the end of my June most anticipated releases, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me a book I've missed off this list. If you have one, I'd love to know because I don't want to miss anything. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a lightning bolt emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, which has a weekly release guide to everything Marvel is releasing that week if you want to check out what they're releasing as well this week. I'll also leave a link as well down below to my bookish Etsy store if you want to treat yourself to something bookish today, or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!